Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. If you have a comment, email it to me, box13 at greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and become one of our friends on Facebook, facebook.com/Radio Detectives. Today's program is brought to you by the financial support of our listeners. You can support us on a one-time basis, support.greatdetectives.net. You can send in a one-time donation via Zelle to box13 at greatdetectives.net or by mail to Adam Graham, P.O. Box 15913 15913, Boise, Idaho 83715. And you can become one of our ongoing Patreon supporters for as little as $2 per month. Just head on over to patreon.greatdetectives.net. Well, today we celebrate 3,150 episodes, and I'm going to bring you an episode of a series that was not actually picked up. The title is The Fourth Estate. This was an audition originally recorded June the 26th, 1946, and the title is Tip-Off.
Of man's estates, there is one apart from the rest. The Fourth Estate. Starring Mark Hellinger in The Fourth Estate, a dramatization of the outstanding accomplishments of the American press. His guest tonight, film star Edmond O'Brien. The story, The Tip-Off. True facts, edited and reported by that master storyteller, veteran newsman, and motion picture producer, Mr. Mark Hellinger.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mark Hellinger, speaking in tribute to the newspaper men and women of the Fourth Estate, those hard-hitting guys and gals of the nation's working press. On the Fourth Estate, you will hear their behind-the-scenes stories, strange human dramas as varied as life itself. Tonight, the Los Angeles Examiner has opened its confidential files so that we might bring you a true tale of an Examiner reporter, Jack Adams, who joined a tough gang of criminals in order to get his story. Later on, you're going to meet Jack in person. But before getting into his story, let's not forget that this week, on papers all over the country, other history-making stories are being written, a number of them deserving of far more than passing recognition. And here are several that have been acclaimed by editor and publisher, recognized authority of the newspaper world as the week's best. So let's tip our hats to
The Antelope Valley Ledger Gazette.
for its two-fisted editorial courage in starting the investigation which resulted in this week's expose of the Ku Klux Klan in California.
The Morning Bulletin of Wade, Arkansas.
For their smashing series of front-page appeals which resulted in finding a home for every veteran returned to date.
The Chicago Sun.
For Mel Durslag's human interest story on the seeing-eyed dog in the LaSalle Hotel fire that led a 23-year-old blind girl down 11 flights of fire escape to safety. And with that brief cross-section of the best in the week's press, we come to our story of the week, The Tip-Off, starring Edmond O'Brien in the role of Jack Adams. You meet some pretty strange people in the newspaper game, especially those crackpots who are constantly turning up around the city room with fantastic tales they insist are true and must be printed in the next edition. On rare occasions, they have something that's really hot, like this character who showed up one afternoon at the Los Angeles Examiner and tried to get in to see the editor. He was a little guy with an odd habit of twisting his head, as though he were giving himself a chiropractic treatment. You could tell from the way he kept glancing around that he was pretty scared, and his voice was thin and wheezy when he talked. The kind of voice that's usually a dead giveaway for an ex-convict. Jack Adams, one of the reporters on the Examiner, was just returning to the office from an assignment when the fellow buttonholed him in the lobby.
Hey, mister.
Yes?
You work here?
Yes, why?
I'd like to see the editor.
Well, he's a busy guy right now. What do you want to see him about?
I'd like to inquire about unloading a certain piece of information.
I'm sorry, but we don't buy stories, if that's what you mean.
Well, this would be more like in the nature of a reward, you might say.
What kind of information does it involve?
It involves, you might say, some parties, which are friends of mine, who are shoving queer.
Shoving queer? Oh, you mean passing counterfeit money?
You might say. Phony heads.
Have you told the police the story?
Nah, I couldn't tell them on account of Bud, and Charlie might think it was me what squealed.
And of course it wouldn't be.
Of course not. I don't do no business with cops.
Look, by the way, what's your name?
Blackie.
Oh, no, your real name.
Oh. Smith. Only, call me Blackie.
Well, look, Blackie, if these boys are friends of yours, how come you're so anxious to turn them in?
They didn't have no right mixing up business and dames, did they?
What dame?
My dame, Virginia. Well, we used to be sort of, well, you know, only it ain't that way no more now.
Now, look, we're not interested.
But this guy, Charlie, thinks all he got to do is flash a bunch of phony dough in front of her face, and that's all it takes. Well, I don't stand for that kind of stuff, see? So I'd like to see the editor.
Well, supposing your story is on the up and up, we couldn't touch it just on your say-so. Unless, of course, one of our own reporters could check on the facts.
How do you mean?
Well, one of our reporters would have to meet these men you speak of and perhaps see some of this counterfeit being made. I don't imagine that'd be possible, would it?
It could be arranged.
It could?
Sure.
How?
Well, I'd have to introduce you first to their regular steer man, a guy named Moxie.
And then what?
Well, say, for instance, you're a pal of mine, see? I'd like to make a buy of some of this stuff. Maybe take over territory. You understand?
Yeah, I understand. What would happen if your friends didn't?
How are you gonna know? You don't look no different from other guys I've brung up.
Thanks. Well, I'll see what my editor thinks of the idea. When would be a good time to meet this Moxie, if we decide to go through with it?
Tonight's as good as any. Anytime after 7.
Well, let's leave it this way. I'll meet you here in the lobby at 7 o'clock. Oh, my name is Jack Adams.
Okay, Mr. Adams. Oh, and about the reward.
Well, if there's a reward, I'll see that the Treasury Department learns where the tip came from.
Of course, the boys might not lick it so good if they found out about you.
No, Blackie. That might make things a little rough for the both of us.
Our star, Edmond O'Brien, will return to our Fourth Estate microphone in just a moment. But now, here is Gain Whitman.
And here is the spot reserved for your first sales message. But we're holding up a deadline, so let's return to our editor, Mark Hellinger.
Our story continues, telling of a dangerous counterfeit ring and the part played by a Los Angeles reporter, Jack Adams, in exposing their activities. A member of the gang, known as Blackie, had made contact with Adams at the newspaper and promised to lead him to the counterfeiters. After getting a green light on the story from Jim Richardson, his city editor, Adams made a phone call, and shortly before Blackie was due to arrive, a couple of men showed up.
Your name, Adams?
Yes.
I'm Graham, Treasury Department, Secret Service.
How are you?
This is Frank Conway, my partner.
Hello? Glad to know you, sir. Hey, pull up some chairs, sir.
The agent in charge said that you telephoned about a counterfeit contract, Mr. Adams.
Yes, a fellow who calls himself Blackie. He promised to introduce me to a gang who are making phony $50. Does that sound like anything?
It might. Los Angeles has been flooded with counterfeit halves for over 3 months now. We haven't been able to make a single arrest.
You see, Mr. Adams, whoever's making this counterfeit is an expert. It's almost impossible to tell it from the real thing.
I thought it was pretty easy to tell a counterfeit coin by the ring of the metal.
That's just it. These bogus coins have almost the same ring as the genuine.
Oh.
Yes, they're a pretty smooth copy. But there's still a way to recognize the counterfeit. For one thing, they're lighter than the real thing and also a trifle breezy to the touch.
I see. Well, it's almost 7 o'clock. I'd better get down to the lobby. This guy Blackie's due here any minute, and he's liable to get anxious if I'm not there.
Right. You better meet him just as you planned. Wherever you go, we'll be around somewhere. But don't recognize us.
Do you think you can get away with it?
I think so. I've put on the oldest suit I could find, and I once did a story on sideshows. I'm hoping I can remember enough Connie talk to sound like one of the boys.
Okay. Good luck, Adams. And remember, no matter how rough the play gets, you're on your own.
Well, this here's the place, Mr. Adams.
Some dive. But you want to watch that mister stuff, Blackie. Slip like that inside, and we'll both be dead pigeons. Better call me Jack.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure, Jack.
Okay, Blackie, it's your party. Let's go in.
Hiya, Blackie. Where you been keeping yourself?
I've been around.
Yeah? What happened to Virginia?
She's been sort of working on a new job.
Yeah?
Say, babe, see anything of Moxie tonight?
Sure, he's sitting over there in one of the booths.
Oh, thanks. Come on, let's shove back. Excuse me, babe.
Sure.
Yeah, here he is. Hiya, Moxie.
Hello, Blackie. I thought you wasn't going to show.
I'd like you to meet a pal of mine, Moxie. This is Jack.
Pleased to meet you.
Sit down.
You know, I ain't seen Jack in quite a while. I just happened to bump into him again this afternoon.
Yeah, it has been quite a hitch, Blackie. Let's see. I ain't seen you since the fair at Dago.
That's right. That's when it was, the fair at Dago.
And what was you doing in Dago, Pally?
I'm playing a rube, same as us, Moxie. He's your ID, I tell you.
I wasn't asking you, Blackie.
If it makes any difference, I used to shill on the Midway.
No offense, Pally. Only sometimes Blackie opens his trap when he ain't asked.
See, you found him all right, fellas. What are you going to have?
Make mine a double shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same.
Okay, coming right up.
What brings you to L.A., Pally?
Huh? Oh, just casing around for a way to turn a fast buck.
Yeah, Moxie. Jack here tells me he's got a few $100 he'd like to put to work. So I was thinking...
You was thinking what?
Well, maybe Bud and Charlie might be
fellas. That'll be $150.
Yeah, take them all out of this.
That's $150 out of two.
Never mind, you can keep the scratch.
Thanks.
Hey, look, baby. As long as you got some change there, break this hair for me, will you?
Yeah, okay, Moxie. Hey,
Thanks.
Well, what do you think, Moxie?
About what?
About Bud and Charlie being interested in Jack here.
I don't know. Maybe they might. That is, if it's like you say it is, Blackie. But if it ain't...
What's with this double talk? If you guys got a deal on and want to chew it over alone, it's okay by me. I'm going to blow.
Now, wait a minute, Jack. Moxie don't mean nothing. He gets a little liquor in him. He sounds off like that.
Nothing personal, Pally. After all, I don't know nothing about you. Okay, so Blackie says you're on the inside. You used to shill at the Dago Fair. That's what Blackie says. Well, I like to find out for myself. So I find out, and, well, now we can talk business. Only not here.
Okay. Let's duck this joint. Where do you want to go?
Maybe we could take them up right now to meet Bud and Charlie, huh?
There you go, shooting off your face again. You know what Bud and Charlie thinks of strangers nosing around their setup? Or is it maybe Virginia you're interested in seeing?
After what she done to me?
Okay, forget it. We're going to have a confab. We better go up to my hotel. We can pick up a pint on the way.
Why don't I just buy one now? They'll sell me a bottle at the bar, won't they?
Sure. You got enough bucks, they'll sell you the joint.
I can see, Moxie, you've got that guy all wrong.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, Jack, you better make that a couple of pints.
Come on, answer.
Treasury Department, Secret Service.
This is Conway. Give me the agent in charge.
Stand by. Yes?
This is Conway, Chief.
How does it look?
Red hot. Adams is with one of the gang, and Graham's tailing him.
Anyone we know?
And how? A pretty rough baby.
Well, stick close and do your best.
We're going to need help, Chief.
Okay, I'll get them out at once.
5th and Town Street. I'll be on the corner.
Good liquor, Pally. Yeah, too bad there ain't more of it.
Yeah. Take this last shot of mine if you want.
Yeah, don't mind if I do.
Now, about that dough deal.
Oh, yeah. Blackie here says you got some bucks you like to put down on a good thing.
Yeah, that's what he tells me, Moxie. 500 clams.
Yeah, I'm looking for a setup, but it's got to be sure and it's got to be fast. Or I'm not interested.
You happen to notice the half a buck I give the dame to change back in the bar?
No, not especially.
Yeah. Take a look at this one. Take a good look.
What about it?
What about it, he says. How do you like that,
Yeah, well, Pally, it just so happens it's a phony.
Yeah?
Yeah. And so is the other one.
Yeah, you sure could have fooled me.
Yeah. Try dropping it on the table. Go on.
Sounds like the genuine McCoy.
Take it from me, Pally. You're dead wrong. Here, pick it up and rub your fingers over it. Feel how slick it is?
Yeah, like the metal was just a little greasy.
And it's the only giveaway. And you gotta know what you're looking for to spot that. That's a sure thing, Pally, and you can buy 'em from us for half what the government charges.
Sure. See how easy it is? Why, even a baby can pass.
Okay, but how do I know you can deliver?
You just give us the dough, and me and Blackie will give you as many as you want. All wrapped up in rolls, just like they came from the bank.
Oh, no, nothing doing. When I turn over my dough to make a buy, I like to see what I'm getting. I like to see what the setup is all the way, in case I want some more.
Sure, Moxie. The guy's putting up the dough. He's got a right to meet Bud and Charlie.
But they don't like to handle it that way, I tell you.
Look, what do you take me for? Either I case the setup or we don't operate. That's it.
Okay, Pally, don't get sore. We'll take a little ride to see Bud and Charlie. Hey, Bud. Charlie, open up.
Who is it?
It's me, Moxie.
Just a minute. All right, come on. Hey, just a minute. What is this? I thought you were alone.
It's just Blackie and a pal of his.
Yeah, Charlie's a pal of mine.
Close that door, you fool.
Oh. Hello, Virginia.
What's the big idea, Blackie? Didn't Charlie tell you never to show up around here? What right do you got coming here anyhow?
You shouldn't ought to talk that way, Virginia. I didn't come to see you. Moxie and me got business here with Charlie.
Yeah, I can imagine any business you might have. You never had hold of more than 2 bits at one time in your life, and that you had a bum off of me.
You shouldn't ought to talk that way, Virginia.
Look, Charlie, this is on the level. Blackie's friend here's got a chunk of dough, and he'd like to make a buy.
Keep your mouth shut, Moxie. You're drunk again. Didn't I tell you never to come here when you were drunk? I don't like it. And I don't like strangers.
What do you want to do that for? What are you slapping me around for? Jack here's a right D. He's an old Connie friend of Blackie.
I don't care who he is. I told you to bring nobody here.
He's got $500. Ain't that reason enough?
Oh, you dirty...
Look, mister. I didn't come here to get mixed up in any hassle. The boys brought me up to talk a little business. That is, if you're interested. Well?
Okay. Sit down. I got no beef with you. These punks make me sore. Told Moxie to lay off the bottle and look at him. It's no good in our work. I never touch it myself.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, what's on your mind?
Huh? The boys give me the pitch, and it looks okay. Only I'm no rube. I like to do business direct. I like to know all the odds.
Yeah? Such as what?
Well, I don't go for any chicken feed arrangement. This thing is as good as it looks. I like to take over a territory and play it across the board.
Did they show you how easy it was to shove the stuff?
Yeah. Moxie made a pass in the barn. It looked pretty simple. But I'd like to try it myself before I shell out any scratch.
Look, this stuff is foolproof. All you got to do is work the classier joints like up on Hill or Broadway where they're used to getting paid in big change. But stay away from Main Street and places like that because down there anything over a dime is heavy dough and they're apt to be a little cagey, you see?
Yeah. Hey, how big a stock do you have on hand?
Enough. Come on into the kitchen. I'll show you the layout.
Okay.
Hey, you better come too, Blackie. I don't want any beefs out here while we're gone.
Oh, sure, Charlie, sure thing. I don't want to start nothing. I ain't short, Virginia.
Yeah, I know all that. Now, look, don't touch nothing, because we got a new batch cooking there on the stove.
Hey, that all there is to the equipment? Just those pots and ladles?
Take a look at those molds there on the table. That's the important part. They're a perfect job of engraving.
Yeah, it's such close work that Bud's ruining his eyes. Gotta wear glasses all the time, poor guy.
That's why Bud went to pick up some automatic equipment. The finishing is all handwork right now.
Hey, how much of the stuff can you turn out?
Plenty. There's about $150 worth right there we made just tonight.
Yeah?
But there's a lot more in the boxes under the sink. You see...
Charlie.
What's the matter?
Charlie, come here, quick.
Huh? Why, Moxie acting up?
Come here, I tell you, don't ask questions.
Hey, look, Virginia, I don't get it.
There, out the window. In that car by the corner, and that other car across the street. Cops.
Cops! Why, you dirty no-good stool pigeons, what kind of a frame is that?
It's Blackie. I told you not to let him near the place. Get him, Moxie. Don't let him get out.
No, you don't, Blackie.
All right, Blackie, give. Who is this rat?
I tell you, that pal of mine, Charlie, you gotta believe me, fellas. He's a guy I used to know in Dago at the fair.
Now, wait a minute. What's all the beef, anyhow?
Come on,
Why, you dirty scum, I remember now. When you went over to buy them bottles at the bar, you talked to somebody. I seen you.
Sure. A guy bumped a cigarette, so I gave him one.
He's lying, Charlie. He's a cop.
Look, mister, we don't stand for no double cross.
Let go my collar, you
This'll be the last time you'll cross anybody.
Open up.
I kill him, see? I kill him.
Don't, Charlie. Don't kill him. It's the cop.
Shut up. He's a rider.
Not worth it, Charlie. Let him go. We're trapped. Can't you see that?
Open up or we'll shoot.
No! No, don't shoot. We'll let you in.
Stop her, somebody.
Let me go. Let me go.
Open up.
Don't shoot. Don't.
Stand where you are, everyone.
Okay, don't shoot.
We're federal agents. You're all under arrest.
Oh, take your hands off of me, cop.
Hey, what's the idea? You got nothing on us. It's a dirty frame.
Quiet, you overused cop. Take him on downtown,
Now,
boys.
look, I told you got nothing on me. Let go of me.
Go
on,
you
get out.
lousy bum.
All right, I'll get you for this, Blackie. You wait.
Outside, come on.
Take your hands off me, will you?
You all right, Mr. Adams?
Okay, Mr. Graham. Shoot. I'm glad to see you. You couldn't have picked a better time to get here. Things were getting a little on the warm side.
I had an idea they might. So when you passed me that note in the bar, Conway phoned for more men. We followed you on out here. Then when the rumpus began, we figured it was time to move in.
It sure was.
Well, thanks very much, Adams. From the department's point of view, this was quite a haul.
Thank you, sir. From my paper's point of view, it's going to make quite a story.
Thank you, Edmond O'Brien, and it did make quite a story. The next edition of Los Angeles Examiner carried it on page 1. Well, that wasn't all of the story, and in just a moment, Eddie O'Brien and I will be back with Jack Adams in person to give you an ironic twist in tonight's yarn. But now, again, Jane Whitman.
And here, gentlemen, is the spot reserved for your second sales message. And be sure to listen to our sales message at the conclusion of this program. But we still have a show to complete, so let's return to our guest star, Edmond O'Brien, and our editor, Mark Hellinger.
Thank you, Jane Whitman. Here at our Fourth Estate microphone is the reporter who participated firsthand in all that rough and tumble which Edmond O'Brien just reenacted. A man who can vouch for the facts of our story and add a few more to boot. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to introduce the real Jack Adams. Take a bow, Jack. Jack Adams, I think it's about time you met Jack Adams. This is Edmond O'Brien, who did that grand job of impersonating you tonight.
Hi, Jack. Glad to know you, Ed. You make a very convincing reporter. You ought to try it sometime.
Thanks, Jack, but I think I'd better stick to acting. Those counterfeiting pals of yours play a little rough to make good company.
Well, they were playing for keeps, Ed.
Hey, tell me, Jack, did Blackie ever get that reward he was so interested in?
Well, after a fashion, didn't he, Jack?
Yes, but not what he expected. Because he was so involved in the deal, the Treasury Department paid him only the smallest reward possible. All the counterfeit had been in halves, as you know, and that's the way they paid him off. $15 in halves.
30 pieces of silver.
That's right, Mark. 30 pieces of silver.
Well, Jack, it was a difficult assignment, and you handled it magnificently.
You certainly did. It took a lot of nerve.
So it just happened to go my way, I guess.
Oh, I think you're being a little too modest. According to Treasury Department officials, a great public service was rendered both by you and the Los Angeles Examiner in exposing and helping convict a dangerous ring of counterfeiters who had already cost the people of Los Angeles thousands of dollars. For the part you played in a dangerous game and your excellent reporting, I am proud to present to you, on behalf of my sponsor, the Fourth Estate's Gold Award of Merit, and also this check for $1,000 for your service.
And confidentially, Jack, it's not counterfeit.
You're telling me. Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, Jack. To our way of thinking, you really earned it. Thanks for the story.
Good night.
Good night.
And what's for next week, Mark?
Next week, Ed, our Fourth Estate drama is a love story.
Uh-huh. So you jump from phony money to true love, huh? That's a strange switch.
Yes, and it's a strange love story. One of the strangest that ever happened.
Garnished with a sprig of mystery, I hope.
In a psychological sort of way. It's a true story from the files of the Denver Post. And Jerry Bland, the cub reporter who uncovered the story, will be here to help us tell it.
Sounds tolerably colossal.
Well, with Ida Lupino playing the starring role, it should pack quite a dramatic wallop.
As our friend Blackie would say, Ida Lupino playing any role adds up to a smart money combination.
And for once, he would have been right. So don't forget, Eddie, next week, Ida Lupino in a true story which we call Tonight is Never.
You can save me 2 on the aisle for that, Mark. We'll certainly be listening.
Check. And now this is Mark Hellinger with hat in hand saying good night, and reminding you that the hard-hitting guys and gals who constitute the Fourth Estate, the nation's working press, are your watchdogs of liberty. Support a free press and keep America free.
The Fourth Estate is adapted for radio by Warren Lewis, with production and direction by Homer Canfield. Music was composed and conducted by Roger Vance. Edmond O'Brien appeared tonight through the courtesy of Mark Hellinger Motion Picture Productions, where he is currently appearing in Ernest Hemingway's The Killers. Listen again next week when Mr. Mark Hellinger brings you another true story from the confidential files of The Fourth Estate. NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
That is our program. You have heard The Fourth Estate. But, gentlemen, Mr. Hellinger has a few remarks which he would like to address to you personally.
Yes, you've heard our program. But tonight's yarn was only 1 in 1,000. Because when dealing with newspaper stories, the variety of dramatic material is unlimited. Take these few items chosen at random. A young New Mexico reporter noticed a $25,000 stallion being delivered to former Secretary of Interior Albert Falls Ranch. His investigation resulted in the famous Teapot Dome scandal. The reporter's name was Clinton Anderson, today Secretary of Agriculture in President Truman's cabinet. What a program that would make. Another observant reporter started the investigation which uncovered the atom bomb spy accusation. Then there is the great human interest yarn about a well-known city editor who commandeered the services of the entire city of New York in order to save the life of a 2-year-old child. Add stories of arson, crooked politics, strange romance, murder. In fact, add all the cockeyed events that happen every day from the gloomy Bowery to the Golden Gate, and you'll get a rough idea of what's to be had. And when it comes to the manner in which newspapers will cooperate, well, I guess I shouldn't be saying too much along those lines. Here is Gain Whitman. He'll carry the ball for us on that topic.
The Fourth Estate did not spring fully formed from the minds of its writers as their idea of something hot. Gentlemen, the building of this program and the ideas for its exploitation through newspapers are both based on research at the most primary points we could find, the city rooms themselves. The creators of the Fourth Estate walked into the offices of newspapers and press associations in Los Angeles, third largest market in the nation, and ask newspaper executives three things. One, what has kept you from giving greater editorial support to radio programs in the past? Two, what do you want in the way of a radio program? Three, if we give you such a show, will you support it in print? On the foundation stones of their answers, we constructed the Fourth Estate, said L.D. Hotchkiss, managing editor of the Los Angeles Times.
Sure, a newspaper is hard-boiled where radio is concerned. Because up till now, we've always been on the giving end. We've supplied the stories and the publicity and got nothing in return. You show me a radio program that offers my paper something of value in exchange, and we'll talk all the promotion you want.
The Fourth Estate offers that value in exchange by giving national publicity to the accomplishments of individual newspapers, said promotion manager Dave Brandman of the Los Angeles Examiner.
If your Fourth Estate story for a particular week concerned one of the Hearst papers, we'd want to build the thing as big as possible, even as far as a news story on page 1, if it should be warranted. After all, if it's handled properly, it's the same as the paper receiving an award.
Right. For an appearance on the Fourth Estate would in itself be considered an award of distinction, giving a newspaper added prestige in its own community. But so much for promotion possibilities. Entertainment-wise, the variety of suspense, pathos, and humor is limitless when dealing with the strange human dramas that week after week provide grist for the mill of the Fourth Estate.
Welcome back. It is always such a nice experience to listen to these pilot programs. It was so nice of Mark Hellinger Film Productions to loan Edmond O'Brien over to Mark Hellinger Radio Productions. It's worth noting that this series wasn't picked up, about 10 months after this pilot aired, there was a series that did begin to air over NBC called Big Story. And the Big Story's concept is pretty much the same thing as this series. And the whole idea was that they would focus on one big story of the week of, something that had been investigated at a newspaper across the country, profiling a reporter and providing a cash award. And I kind of wonder how that actually worked, given that these were similar. Was it a case where NBC took the series idea and just took it in another direction and pulled Hellinger off the project somehow? Or did they have someone submit a similar concept, but they were able to, find a sponsor better? Because 10 months can be a long time in the world of radio. I could see it going the development route and NBC tweaking and changing the idea of the series. And certainly the series name. The Big Story is pretty clear. The Fourth Estate is a little bit less so. It has its roots in a very old world concept. The idea that there were three estates: the nobility, the clergy, and the commoners. And the great Edmund Burke called the press the Fourth Estate. Now, there have been some alternate Fourth Estates, but certainly the press is the most common. But it's kind of hard to figure out. The Big Story, on the other hand, you really kind of have a feel of what you're going to get. You're going to get some big news stories. So I could see NBC taking this idea and saying, Fourth Estate's a little highfalutin. Let's go with the Big Story. But again, I don't know for sure what link, if any, exists between these programs. But given this was aired at NBC, or was produced for NBC in 1946, the Big Story started in 1947, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a link. And I should mention that one of the, actually the very first circulating episode of the Big Story is a Jack Adams counterfeiting tale. All right, well, I do want to go ahead and thank our Patreon supporter of the day. Thank you so much to Sarah. She's been one of our Patreon supporters since February 2016, currently supporting us at the Shamus level of $4 or more per month. Thank you so much for your support. And that will actually be all for now. Join us back here tomorrow as we continue on with our regular lineup with an episode of Box 13. And then this coming Tuesday, listen to the premiere episode of Roger Kilgore, Public Defender. In the meantime, send your comments to box13 at greatdetectives.net. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.